we think that that's just the way it is. That's just the way I am. That's a fixed mindset. So be careful how we're talking about ourselves, because that keeps us stuck. That keeps us fixed to that way of being. Have you guys heard of what it means to have a growth mindset? Having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. So having a growth mindset basically means that you believe that you can change, that you can grow, and that things can change and you have the power. Having a fixed mindset means that we basically are saying, I am the way that I am, and there's nothing going to change that. I've always been that way, and that's the way it is. Everything that we do, everything that we think, everything that we feel or say repeatedly is really just a program. It's just a program. Anything we do repeatedly just becomes a habit, it becomes a program. And we sometimes say things like, I'm not a morning person, for example. How many times have you heard that? And how many times have you said that yourself, right? Like, I'm not a morning person, or I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say I'm not a night person. What that means is, not being a morning person means that we're not functioning at our best. Feeling tired, we're feeling maybe grumpy, maybe some of us are feeling just like we're not looking forward to the day, and we're lacking enthusiasm, right? And we're struggling to kind of get up, to feel good, right? So when we say that I'm not a morning person, really all that means is there's a program that we've been practicing, a way of behaving and a way of feeling, right? And those feelings and those sort of behaviors in the morning is just, it's something that we've done it over and over and over again, and it became just a program. And then we identify ourselves as that program. We start to then think that I'm this program. I'm not a morning person, right? And this conversation really isn't about, okay, let's analyze the repeated behavior or the repeated thoughts or feelings. Where did those come from? Why did we keep practicing something? Why do we keep doing something over and over again when it doesn't feel good, right? When it's hurting us and we're not happy about it. That's, could be a coping mechanism that we got from when we were younger. It could have been just modeling our parents' behavior. But really, I just wanted to point out how we've got these programs, the things that we do repeatedly, things that we think or feel or say over and over again. And we sometimes have that tendency of identifying ourselves with it. I'm this way, right? So I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Oh, that's hot, but it's good though. Those feelings, feeling tired in the morning, using that as an example still, I'm not a morning person example, feelings of being tired, maybe feelings of stiffness in the body, feelings of grumpiness, let's say, or maybe anxiety in the mornings. That's just what we've been practicing over and over again. And the funny thing is that we identify ourselves with that program, right? And we think that that's just the way it is. That's just the way I am. That's a fixed mindset. So be careful how we're talking about ourselves, right? How are we identifying with ourselves? Careful with having the thought of, that's just the way I am, and there's nothing I can do about it, because that keeps us stuck. That keeps us fixed to that way of being. A couple other examples. We can say things like, I'm too trusting of others, meaning, I let others take advantage of me. That's really just a program, right? Like, you trusting others over and over again, That's just what you've been practicing, right? For me, I've had to take a hard look at how I'm identifying myself when it comes to time management. I've oftentimes said to myself, I'm not that good. I'm bad at time management. I'm a chronic runner later. you know, I'm always late. And so therefore, like, I'm not a punctual person, right? So I identify myself as being this person that's always late, and that story, that belief that that's who I am, right? By us identifying myself as that keeps me stuck in it, right? I'm anxious all the time. We can say that. Whichever way we describe ourselves, we should really take a hard look at how we're describing ourselves, because if we're describing ourselves in a way that we're not too crazy about or that we don't like, if we want to reprogram ourselves, if we want to change and break that pattern, right, and be a different person, we've got to stop identifying ourselves with the pattern. If we remain aware of these patterns and we just observe them and we love them, right? We got to learn to accept it, because that's a part of us. We don't want to disown it, because if we keep turning our backs on those patterns that we don't like, or those personality traits or whatever, I wouldn't even go as far as calling it a personality trait, but if we turn our backs on that and just try to ignore it and disown it and try to think positive and focus on the positive things within us, that's just gonna stay there, right? So we want to transcend those patterns and grow from them. So we want to look at it as though it's part of us, but it's not who we are. It's not it's not our truth. It's just something we've been practicing and repeating over and over again, right? If we see a pattern that we don't like, the thing that's going to keep us stuck in it is if we identify with that pattern. That's just what I'm trying to say. If we identify with the program or with the pattern and say, I'm like this, I'm bad at that, we're just going to keep ourselves stuck, right? We're not going to actually be able to transcend it and evolve out of it, right? We've got to see that it's there, and know that it's just something that we've been practicing, but it's not who we are. It's not our truth. Just being completely honest with ourselves, that's huge, right? The ego doesn't want to let us be honest with ourselves. Ego wants to make up stories and blame others, and then just like throw up our hands and say and give up, right? But it's important to do the work, because that's what makes life more worthwhile. So take, for example, we identify ourselves as these programs, right? I'm like this. I'm not a morning person. I'm anxious. I have anxiety. Okay, so if you think about it like this, we're going to realize that this is kind of asinine to identify ourselves as these things, as these programs. Imagine these programs, right? These repeated behaviors, okay, and thoughts and, feelings, right? Imagine you've got your laptop, right? Or your computer, okay? So when you get your computer, you install software programs on it, right? Or your phone. You would install apps onto it, okay? So let's just say the phone. Now that computer or that phone has those programs, you don't identify the phone or the computer with the program that it has, right? So like my laptop, let's say, it has a video editing software on it, right? It's got Adobe Premiere. And I don't say, this is my Adobe Premiere computer. Like my I don't identify my computer with the program that it has. Do you? Do you identify and call your phone based on what apps you have installed on it? No. You just call it your iPhone or your Samsung Galaxy, in my case. The phone's identity, the way you refer to the device, does not change based on the apps or the software programs that are installed on it. You still see it for what it is. It's just a computer, it's a laptop, it's a phone. It's not Facebook. Like if you just installed Facebook only on your phone and then now you're like, hey, get my Facebook. Maybe an 80 or 90-year-old, that has a smartphone for the first time, like you showed them how to install Facebook and then they're like, oh yeah, get me my Facebook. You're like, what? It's your phone, grandpa, great grandpa. So same thing, right? We're human beings with these programs. Let's not identify ourselves as these programs because we're not the program. We can uninstall the program, and that takes work. That's where the growth comes in, right? It takes work to uninstall these programs and then to install ones that serve us more, right? So, yeah. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you just, chilling and watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel because this is the kind of stuff I'm going to be talking more about, right? About growth, about, transforming ourselves, transforming our lives based on doing the work on the inside first. We experience more happiness and more fulfillment and more meaning and more love and more joy by going within first and seeing what's in the way, okay? There's a lot of things in the way of us feeling love, of us feeling happy, of us genuinely feeling grateful and joyful. So I'm here to help shed light on those things that might get in the way because that's the work that I've been doing myself, right? So hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see each other next time.